Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah, heavy.
So today we're going to do a deep dive into Stephen Wolfram's productivity system.
Okay.
This is the guy behind Mathematica and Wolfram Alpha, you
Oh,
know.
yeah. I know his work for sure.
So you sent us this article where he kind of lays out his system.
Yeah.
And it's a fascinating read, let me tell you.
Definitely not your average CEO.
Yeah,
What really struck me was how he approaches productivity almost like a science experiment, you know?
right.
Like he's constantly measuring and analyzing everything,
Totally.
trying to optimize every aspect of his workflow.
It's intense.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking meticulously organized files,
Right.
custom software,
Uh-huh.
even a database for his books.
Wow.
It's pretty wild.
It is.
Like he's been collecting data on himself for years.
Yeah.
Keystroke steps, taking even blood levels.
Oh, wow.
It's like he's trying to quantify every aspect of his existence.
Exactly. And I think that gets to the core of his approach.
Right.
You know, he sees information as the key to everything.
Right.
He's built this incredible personal knowledge management system
I know, it's amazing.
that lets him instantly access anything he's ever worked on, thought about,
Yeah.
or even just encountered.
So let's start with something that really jumped out at me.
Yeah.
His walking routine.
Yeah, the walking.
This isn't just casual strolling.
No.
He's full-on working while walking outside.
I mean, it's a great example of how he challenges conventional thinking.
Yeah.
Most people see walking as a way to clear their head,
Right.
you know, a break from work.
Right.
But he's found a way to integrate it into his workflow
Uh-huh.
and boost his well-being at the same time.
He even had a treadmill desk for years,
They did.
but eventually realized walking outside was better for him.
How'd he figure that out?
He actually figured that out by analyzing his heart rate data.
Oh, there it is.
There's that data-driven decision-making again.
Right.
It's not just about intuition for him.
No.
It's about looking at the numbers
Yeah.
and making adjustments based on hard evidence.
I like it.
So now he's got this walking desk,
Uh,
which he jokes he could have come up with decades ago.
right.
But hey, better late than never.
Totally.
And when the weather's good,
Yeah.
he's out there for hours,
Wow.
laptop in front of him.
I think it's inspiring in a way.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that we can break free from the traditional desk-bound work model and find ways to be productive while also taking care of our physical health.
And speaking of his work environment,
Okay.
we have to talk about his desk setup.
All right, let's get into it.
This is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
He has this custom-built desk with special pull-out surfaces
Uh-huh.
to prevent clutter.
Okay.
He even has slots to slide papers directly into drawers,
Oh, wow.
like built into the desk.
Every detail is designed to minimize distractions and
Wow.
keep his focus laser sharp.
It's pretty impressive.
I think he's onto something with his idea that flat surfaces are stagnation points for clutter.
I know, me too.
I know my desk could use some of that thinking. Yeah.
He's definitely thought this through.
He has.
He used to keep his computer in a separate room
Really?
because the fan noise bothered him.
Oh, wow.
That's dedication to a quiet workspace.
It really emphasizes the importance of customizing your workspace
Yeah.
to fit your personal needs.
Uh-huh.
For Wolfram, a quiet environment is crucial for concentration.
It makes sense.
We all have different preferences when it comes to productivity.
Yeah.
It's important to figure out what works best for you.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the physical space.
Okay.
He's very particular about his tech setup
Uh-huh.
for communication.
Got it.
He actually avoids video conferencing,
Really?
finding it too distracting.
Which seems counterintuitive for someone who runs a global tech company.
I know, right?
But I think it speaks to his focus on clarity and efficiency.
Yeah.
He wants to make sure the information is conveyed effectively
Right.
without any unnecessary noise, visual or otherwise.
So he sticks to screen sharing. And good old-fashioned phone calls.
Makes sense.
But he's a stickler for audio quality.
He is.
No bad connections
Oh.
or speakerphones allowed.
He uses technology very strategically.
Yeah.
It's not about embracing every new gadget.
Right.
It's about choosing the tools that best serve his purpose.
It's all about being prepared and adaptable.
Yeah, like that.
Speaking of which,
Okay.
let's talk about how he prepares for giving talks.
All right.
He travels quite a bit,
Yeah,
speaking to all sorts of audiences,
he does.
business folks, scientists, even school kids.
He's clearly passionate about sharing his knowledge,
Yeah.
engaging with different communities.
And get this, he prefers giving talks on subjects he hasn't talked about before.
Oh, wow.
So he's constantly pushing himself to learn new things.
Talk about a lifelong learner.
I know.
It's a great reminder that we should always be seeking out new challenges,
Yeah.
expanding our knowledge base.
He has a whole routine for giving talks. Even making sure the podium is the right height for typing comfortably.
The details.
Yeah.
Wow.
He uses a second display to pull up code snippets and other materials on the fly.
Okay.
And he even uses Wolfram Language code to paginate his notes.
He takes preparation to a whole new level.
Yeah.
It's not just about the content.
Right.
It's about having all the logistical details ironed out.
Right.
So we can focus on connecting with his audience.
This attention to detail carries over to his note-taking process,
Okay.
which is as meticulous as you might imagine.
He's a big proponent of digital notebooks,
He is.
but recognizes that sometimes pen and paper are the best tools for the job.
Totally.
Yeah.
He always carries a folded piece of paper for quick notes on the go,
Okay.
which he transcribes later.
Uh-huh.
And over the years,
Yeah.
he's accumulated over 100,000 digital notebooks.
Wow. That's a lot.
I know.
His file system is just as impressive.
I know, right?
It's incredibly organized with folders for everything,
Yeah.
all meticulously categorized and archived.
He compares his system to how he used to file physical research papers.
Okay.
Broad categories are better than overly specific ones
That makes sense.
because it's easier to remember where things are.
Yeah.
It's a classic example of applying real-world organizational principles to the digital realm. And this might sound a little excessive,
Okay.
but he even names his files sequentially.
Yeah.
File 01,
Okay.
File 02, and so on.
Got it.
He says he's never even come close to meeting File 99.
It's about creating a system that's simple, consistent,
Right.
and eliminates any unnecessary decision-making.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he applies the same meticulous approach to managing his email,
Interesting.
which he uses almost as an extension of his memory.
So it's not just about communication.
Right.
He uses email as a repository for ideas
Right.
and information that he can draw on for future projects.
Well, it's almost like a personal knowledge base.
Exactly.
So what happens when he actually starts working on a project?
Okay, what does he do?
He dives into those email folders
Yeah. Huh?
and moves relevant information into his active notebooks.
So it's like mining his own personal archive for inspiration.
And then get this,
Okay.
he deletes the emails.
Really?
It's fascinating to see this combination of extreme archiving and ruthless purging.
I know, right?
He's constantly refining his system,
Mm-hmm.
figuring out what's truly valuable
Right.
and what can be let go.
I like it.
And it's not just files and email.
Okay, what else?
He's also created custom databases for everything.
Really?
He's met books in his library, you name it.
Oh, wow. So we got to talk about the databases.
Yeah, I think we need to save that for after a quick break
Okay.
because this is where things get really mind-blowing.
All right, let's take a break. So databases, huh?
Yeah, so you're telling me this guy has databases for his personal life?
All right, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
It's true. He has one called PBase, which is essentially a database of everyone he's ever met.
Yeah.
It pulls in details from LinkedIn and other sources, and he even maps out where they live.
That's next level networking. I mean, imagine being able to instantly recall details about anyone you've ever crossed paths with.
Right.
It could be incredibly useful for collaborations or just staying connected.
And then there's his book database.
Okay, the books.
We're talking about 6,000 books in his personal library, each meticulously cataloged with information like size, color, and even its location on the shelf.
Like he's created his own personal Library of Congress.
I know.
Speaks to his insatiable curiosity and his desire to have all that knowledge at his fingertips.
He actually wanted to organize his books by publication date,
Really?
so he could browse them in historical order. He even started measuring each book's dimensions to create a visual representation of his bookshelf.
That's dedication, though. I can see how that project might have become a bit overwhelming.
He eventually settled for alphabetizing within categories,
Yeah.
but still, the fact that he even considered doing all that measuring is pretty remarkable.
It highlights this interesting tension in his approach. You know, he clearly loves complexity and diving deep into the details, but he also recognizes the need for practicality and efficiency.
That balance between complexity and practicality really comes through in how he uses personal analytics. This is where his data-driven approach really takes center stage.
So we're talking about all the data he's been tracking, keystrokes, steps, sleep patterns, even blood levels.
Exactly. It's like having your own personal biofeedback loop.
So what does he do with all this data?
Well, he has a dashboard that tracks his email backlog, which I can't even imagine having the courage to look at.
I know, right?
But for him, it's not about judgment. It's about understanding his own patterns and finding areas to optimize. He believes in the power of data to help us make better decisions about our work, our health, even our lives in general.
It's fascinating stuff.
And he's uncovered some interesting insights. For example, he noticed that his sleep patterns change depending on what project he's working on. He also found that while his blood test results have remained consistent over the years, the normal ranges reported by labs have shifted significantly.
That raises some important questions about how we define normal and the value of personalized data. Maybe what's considered healthy for one person isn't the same for another. It's a reminder that we shouldn't blindly rely on standardized metrics and that tracking our own data can be incredibly insightful.
He even had his entire genome sequenced back in 2010 just to see what he could learn from it.
There's that insatiable curiosity again. I admire his willingness to explore and experiment even when it comes to his own biology.
And remember how we talked about him archiving everything well that extends to decades of emails, files, even scanned documents? He's created this system that can search through it all in an instant. He calls it his meta-searcher.
It's like having a personal Google for your entire life. Think of the potential for rediscovering old ideas, reconnecting with people from your past, or just gaining a deeper understanding of your own personal journey.
He's meticulously scanned and archived paper documents dating back to elementary school. We're talking about a lifetime's worth of information, all meticulously organized and instantly searchable.
It makes you wonder what kind of insights he's gleaned from all that data. Imagine being able to trace the evolution of your thoughts and ideas over decades to see how your interests have shifted and how you've grown as a person.
He even has a personal timeline that tracks external events like meetings and conferences, and for events like trade shows. He brings a tiny camera that takes a picture every 30 seconds so he can review what he saw and who he met.
It's almost like he's creating a digital memory palace, a way to capture the richness of his experiences and preserve them for future reflection. It's a fascinating counterpoint to our often fleeting digital memories.
It's certainly an extreme approach, but there's something undeniably compelling about his commitment to documenting and understanding his own life in such granular detail.
I think it challenges us to think differently about our own relationship with information. What if we were more intentional about capturing and organizing our experiences, our ideas, and the knowledge we encounter?
Wolfram's system might be beyond reach for most of us, but the underlying principles are incredibly valuable. He values organization, data-driven decision-making, and lifelong learning, and he believes that much of what he does now will eventually be automated.
It's a fascinating glimpse into a future where AI could potentially handle many of the tasks that currently occupy our time and mental energy.
He envisions a world where bots can answer our emails, draft documents based on our past behavior, and manage our information flows more effectively than we ever could.
It's a bit unsettling, to be honest, but it also presents some intriguing possibilities. What could we achieve if we were freed from the burden of information overload? What new creative pursuits could we explore?
It's a lot to consider, and that's exactly what we want you to do.
Yeah.
What aspects of Wolfram's system resonated with you the most? What small changes could you make in your own life to be more intentional about how you manage information?
Yeah. It's almost like he's building this externalized brain, right? Like a digital extension of his own mind that he can just tap into whenever he needs.
He actually calls this idea a computational essay,
Okay.
where you can interact with knowledge in a much more dynamic way than just reading a static document.
I see.
He sees this as the future of how we'll learn and communicate.
It's a bold vision, and it certainly aligns with his work on Wolfram Alpha,
Right.
which aims to make computational knowledge accessible to everyone.
It's clear that Stephen Wolfram sees information as the key to unlocking human potential.
Yeah.
And his own system, as extreme as it might seem, is a testament to that belief.
It's inspiring in a way.
I think so too.
It shows what's possible when you're truly committed to understanding and leveraging the power of information.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Stephen Wolfram's world,
Right.
what are the key takeaways you as a listener can apply to your own life?
Well, I think it starts with recognizing the value of information. We're bombarded with it constantly, but how much of it do we actually retain and use effectively?
Maybe we could all benefit from being more intentional about how we organize our digital lives.
Right.
Do our file systems make sense? Are we using email strategically? Could we benefit from some form of personal analytics, even if it's just tracking our sleep or the books we read?
And beyond the practical applications, I think there's a deeper lesson here about curiosity and lifelong learning.
Yeah, for sure.
Wolfram's constantly pushing himself to explore new ideas, to connect disparate pieces of information, and to see the world in new ways.
It's a reminder that learning isn't just something we do in school. It's a lifelong process of discovery and growth, and Who knows, maybe one day we'll all have our own personal computational essays,
Yeah.
helping us navigate the complexities of the world and unlock our full potential.
Until then, I think we can all take inspiration from Wolfram's example and find ways to be more mindful, more curious, and more engaged with the information that surrounds us.
So there you have it. A glimpse into the mind of Stephen Wolfram, a man who's not afraid to embrace complexity, to challenge conventional thinking, and to push the boundaries of what's possible with information.
This deep dive has given us a lot to ponder.
It has.
What will you take away from it? How will you apply these insights to your own life?
Think